All right, let's talk about due diligence real quick. Probably the single most important part of the transaction. On one side, time is of the essence, right? You have 15, maybe 30 days to acquire the information if you're representing your purchaser. If you're representing a client to sell the building, you want to acquire this information prior to listing it online because we're going to be transparent on either side. If we're representing the buyer, we want to obtain all this information to give them an accurate perspective and an accurate assessment of what they're about to purchase. And if we're representing the seller, we want to provide an accurate assessment of what the property entails. So for those purposes, we'll just assume either on this. What you're looking at here, this PDF is our due diligence request list, basically. On the left side are the preliminary items, okay, so the basics that we go after. And on the right side are the post-contract, after we're under contract or letter of intent or listing the deal. Those are items that we're looking for. Now, all of this data is very important. It's an essential for us to obtain this information, again, to help us to get a clear picture. However, not everybody's going to have everything. So if they don't have it, it's okay. Just get as much as you can, and that might require some persistent follow-up. But, and for the purposes of this tutorial, just showing you this PDF, we can send this, you send this out, when you're going after a property, send it out. A lot of times they'll send back the information. Most of the time you're going to have to follow up an email asking them, for items that they didn't send in their flyer or whatever they have. That's okay. In other properties, if it's a single family house, you're probably not going to need this, this PDF tool because, most of your questions could be addressed in an email. This will apply mostly to multi-tenanted properties or just any income property that has a tenant in it. So prior to contract, you're looking for your basics, your sales fire, building plans, rent roll, right? Based on income property, you're going to want to have a rent roll, and that'll give you their terms, deposits. All of that's information that we need to know in order to, see what liabilities we're taking on if we represent the purchaser. And what you're going to be taking on if you're listing the property. Now, if you're representing the purchaser and you ask for these things from the agent, a lot of times they're going to ask you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. That's fine. Just let me see the NDA before you send it out. But we can sign an NDA, no problem, and a confidentiality agreement. That's to protect them for their tenants. That's fine. Operating statements, their P&L, what's their profit and loss? Again, they might not even send that one. But once we go to contract, we definitely need it. If they have leases in place, what do they look like? Are they triple net? Are they gross leases? In other words, does the landlord pay the expenses or is the tenant paying the expenses? We want to know, get that clear picture again. HVAC and roof, obvious. We want to make sure the HVAC is not going to break down or the roof's not caving in or leaking. So we ask for the age and condition. HVAC, the rule of thumb is about 10 years. And the rule of thumb for roof is 20-25. That's, dependent on a few factors. It's just a rule of thumb. Depends on what they're built, type of material, that kind of thing. List of expenses. So if this is a commercial property, it's called CAM, which is common area maintenance. If it's residential, it might be homeowners association dues or something of the like that has all the exterior expenses. How much does it cost to cut the grass? Think of simple terms, right? How much does it cost for, your whatever the exterior maintenance might be? You want that information. Utility meters, copy of lease, again, these are all things that we're going to ask for. We might not primarily get. But once you go to contract, okay, you're going to start validating this information. Okay, the stuff that you did get, you're going to start validating, and you're going to start requesting more serious things. You definitely want utility bills now. You want to see what the actual expenses look like. Okay, You want to see, any tenant files or correspondence to tenants complain. Are there any late tenants or late, rent in place? Those are going to be in the correspondence files. Is there any deferred maintenance, right? Did they let the lawn grow up too much, or, is the roof caving in? They might have a list of it, but you need to ask about it because they should tell you if there's anything wrong with the building. And on the opposite end, if there's anything great about the building, did they just improve it? Did they add a new roof or repaint? Those are capital improvements, right? They spent capital on it. They've improved the building. We want to see what that looks like. Those are value adds. Disclosures are important. I don't know, maybe that should be on this side, but really they need to disclose up front anything that's wrong with the building. Legally, in most cases, that is the rule of thumb. Same thing with outstanding liens, judgments. Is it about to go in foreclosure, or is there a construction lien on the property and they can't sell it? Ask them and let them give you the story. But sometimes if you just ask, hey, what's the story about this property? They'll tell you a little bit, but they might not tell you that the HVAC is 20 years old and about to give up, or there's personal property that they're actually taking out of the building, brand new chandelier, or forklift, or whatever it might be. So all of that's important. So keep a good eye on this. Again, send me an email. I'll send you over the PDF, and you can take a look at it and go through each item and recognize why these things are important from either side of the table, and and contemplate on it a little bit. All right, till the next video.